Alrighty. LARP story time. Time to tell a LARP story. Alright. Alright, my friends. LARP story the third. You know what I really like? I really like when plot comes back around and brings something back up from a long, long time ago. That's what I really like. I really like when the actions and the things that have happened have consequence based on what happened before, you know? And that those things get remembered and that things get brought up. It's very interesting to me that they care a lot, even about retired characters and like what happens to them after they have retired. So, Underworld has a system where characters can either suffer a final death or they can retire. And once they retire, they become plot NPCs. You know what I mean? Like, once you say, like, I retire my character, what happens to them is up to plot. You know? So a long time ago, which I mean, like, by which I mean, like, a year and a half, I had a character for Underworld Zenithstrand at the very, very beginning. Her name was Madeleine Valère, and she was a high elf pirate, basically. And she talked with a very French accent and tried very hard to, you know, romance all the ladies. She was like the most womanizing high elf pirate lesbian that I could think of at the time, and I made her. But she retired a couple of games in because I just felt that like Tawny was a better fit. Maddie probably wouldn't leave the boat, stuff like that. Like once we were off the ship, it just seemed silly to keep playing a pirate, so I retired her. Well, she's back as an NPC. Now, when Maddie was retired, there was a whole thing going on where they had spirits in their head that they were trying to like transport through the veil of the darkness, you know, in the ocean. That the spirits couldn't pass through, but they wanted to like hitch a ride with people. So people had like spirits in their head that session, and like the next session there was the whole resolving getting them out and stuff. But she retired with the spirit in her head. And the spirit that Maddie had in her head when she retired was a fucking necromancer. Right? The horrible necromancer spirit in her head when she retired. So Tammy goes to me and goes like, okay, like you look like you could use a break, basically, you know, and goes like, would you like to send an old friend to go and see them? And as soon as she said it, I knew exactly what she was talking about. I'm like, oh god, yes. You were like, tell me, give me info. I want to go see them with an old friend. Because her former flame, her former romance partner, so to speak, was upstairs, like, you know, ready to have this roleplay. This is where, like, I'm into it, you know? I'm into it. I want to send this character out and, like, challenge that situation. So she's like, you want to send an old friend to go see them? And I'm like, yes. Okay, what has happened to her? You know, like, what do I need to know about her? It's like, well, she's changed a lot. She's basically a lich. But there's an underworld version of the lich called a parlor lich. I don't know if that's something that's in other stuff, but a parlor lich is a lich that looks like a regular person and like senses is alive and like has all the signs of life, but is definitely not alive. So after Maddie like separated and went off on her own, she joined up with the pirate crew, La Fierté Féroce, which is like the fierce bravery kind of, or the fierce loyalty, and like got her dream of being like a pirate with these other high elf pirates, you know, like she tried to apply for them before, but she had no magical talent. So the necromancer spirit helped her by like teaching her necromancy, and she learned necromancy and she joined this pirate crew, and since then has become a horrible lich, basically. That you know, is a very powerful NPC, like a very, 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 very powerful NPC, like the kind of holy fucking Jesus, like, levels of scary NPC. It's very bad. And so she tells me this, and then goes like, well, she says like, so go and visit them with this new character, or with this old character, you know, go visit them with Maddie. And I'm like, well, so what stats do I take? And she goes, look in the undead section, Parlor Lich. And I went, holy fuck, okay. And so I went and looked, and Parlor Lich, and it's like the scariest stats. I'm not gonna list off what they have, but there is a section in there that says, and I quote, make sure that the head shaper is aware this is going out. Basically, like, it cannot be sent out by, like, lesser GMs of the game. Only the person in charge of the game can ever send one of these into the field. Like, it has to be 100% signed off, 1000%, like, good to go. And so Tammy and Wes are basically both the head shapers. So I made sure it was okay with both of them before I went out, because that's what it says on the page. They're so strong that you don't just send them out to get killed. Because they don't, you know? So I went upstairs as Maddie, you know, coming up from the vaults. And people were like, who are you? What are you doing here? And I'm like, I thought I recognized some of you people. Very nice to see you again. My name is Madeleine Valère, and I am here in the name of La Fierté Féroce to claim some of the items in this museum. You see, over in Biliostrav, there is lots of political problem. So, we want to make sure the new Pirate King is a Pirate King that we can control. So, we're going to be wanting the power here. So they sent me to this museum to find what I can find. You know, like that kind of stuff, to like lay the groundwork for why I was there. There were a couple of people who recognized me and who knew who I was, but like a lot of the characters have changed since then, or they never met Maddie, or they're not old enough to like know who she was before. So I had a lot of like new interactions with people, which was really fun. Liches have an ability that they can do where touching them ages you. So touching a lich, shaking hands with a lich loses you a year of your life, basically. So you shake hands with a lich and it's one magic body age, you know? And I did that a lot. I did that a lot through this place. I'm like, oh, it's a pleasure to see you. You know, like, shake hands, one magic body age. You know, like, they're so full of necromantic magic that it comes out their fingertips without them wanting to, basically. So I did a lot of, like, socializing, and I basically took my breaks, quote unquote, my NPC breaks, as this character. I would, like, go and play this character for a bit. But the most fun was running into Adeline, who is, like, Maddie's old flame, so to speak. The two of them got very romantical, and you can hear about that in earlier stories on YouTube and stuff. Like, you can find the VODs where I'm talking about stories as Maddie, and there's some very romantical stuff that happened between them. They were very much involved. And it was great because she's like this person who follows the dragon of sort of like justice and life and good and honor and stuff. And I'm a lich now. You know? She knows I'm something bad. She doesn't know what. She can tell by the fact that my handshake ages her a year that I am bad news. Like, that I'm a bad person. But we still had this magnetism of two characters that were together and like had a romance and like shared intimate moments and stuff. And there's this awesome sort of scene of like, I want to reach out and touch you, but I shouldn't, or I can't, you know, like it's a bad idea for me to do so, basically. Which I'm really happy about. And just like having old characters come back in for the benefit of the people who played those old characters. So like I felt really cool bringing Maddie back in because she's an old character of mine, and for the benefit of people who interacted with those characters when they retired, you know, like Adeline, you know, knowing Maddie from before and like seeing her now, and you know, some other people who were also familiar, basically. And the setting up of potential storylines where this character could become involved in things again. Like, I gave Adeline a scrap of my cloak, like I ripped a piece of my cloak off and gave it to her, sort of thing. I didn't actually do that. I had a tag that was like a scrap of Maddie's cloak, so that she could use any kind of like seeking magic or finding magic to send me a message, you know, like a raven would be able to get to me or what have you. So if she wants to talk to me again, or she needs me to come and help her, or, you know, she wants my attention for whatever reason, she can get it, and Plot can send it, and I can play it, you know? I don't know, it's very interesting to me. It's a good sort of way to set up relationship potential, even with these characters that, like, people have stopped playing, you know? And if at any time Tammy's like, hey, I need Maddie, can you come and, like, take an NPC shift and, like, play Maddie for this scene or whatever, then I'm just like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's go do it. I just go and do that, and it's fine. Yeah, there was a point where a bunch of, like, NPC rats interrupted my conversation with Adeline, and I just went, instead of, like, getting up or moving or doing anything, as the rats got close to me, I just went, magic death, magic death, magic death. Just to show off how powerful I was, using absolute destruction-y killing spells to kill rats. The kind of thing that would kill anyone if they got hit by it. Didn't even have to incant. It wasn't like, I invoke necromancy to inflict death. It was just magic death. Like, you know, snuff that life out. I didn't have any of my Maddie stuff, so I didn't look like Maddie. Like, I didn't bring my coat or my hat or any of the stuff that, like, is sort of her gear, because I didn't know beforehand I'd be playing this character. So I tried to make an excuse for it, basically, where I was talking about liches, because they had, like, an undead vault to do, and they were talking to me about liches. And so I was talking about liches, and I'm like, you know, personal things make the best phylacteries. Like, you can't use impersonal things because they won't hold your soul, you know? You can't just take any pebble and make it into a phylactery. It doesn't work that way, you know? Because it is not valuable to you. It does not hold any sentiment, sort of thing. And the last thing I said in that thread, whether people picked it up or answered it or followed it or anything like that, I said, there's a reason I'm not wearing my hat anymore. And then just moved on to the next thing. Like, people either twigged or they didn't. Only Adeline ever heard me say this. Like, Adeline was the only person in the conversation, but I don't know if she got it or not. But I basically dropped a hint that, like, the hat is very important, you know? Yeah. That was my thought there. So, that was our third story. I got to bring back Maddie. She didn't do too much except for, like, interact with some players and hang out a bit and talk about things and, like, give some buffs and stuff. Because I had protections magic as well, so I just gave out some. Which was nice, because it feels like you're helping the players a little bit when there's, like, hard shit and you want to give them a buff. So yeah, I mean, like, there's not a huge, like, arc to this. It's just like, ooh, the introduction of an old character again. I'm really looking forward to maybe seeing them again in the future, if people want, you know, if people look for her. So I'm into it. All right.